Well, hi, you guys. Welcome back. You know, one of the great things about living in a place like Utah, like the greater Salt Lake City metropolitan area, is there are a lot of people doing really cool things. Even though we don't have 5 or 10 million people in our MSA, there are a lot of folks making things, doing things, and that's what we're about here at Park City Television. As you can see, I'm holding a beautiful guitar that even from this camera angle, you can see the weave of carbon fiber, and if I move it a little bit and do this before we do the introduction, you can see right here on the headstock the namesake of this beautiful guitar played by our pal Rain in his gorgeous first song. And I'm here with the founder of Klos Guitars. It's Adam Klosowiak. How are you, brother?
Hey, thanks for having me on, Terry.
Absolutely. Congratulations, man. This is a beautiful piece of engineering. Talk about.
Thank you.
We'll talk about guitar first before we get into the specifics of this. Talk about your love for guitar.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I got into music through piano, actually. My parents really emphasized music growing up. So my 3 brothers and I were sort of forced into music, actually. My oldest brother learned violin. The next brother started with violin, and then he played guitar for the longest time. Ian, and he's my co-founder. And then Emil was violin, and I started out with piano. And you know, a lot of us didn't actually like music at first because it was a chore.
Sure.
It was you can't go out with your friends until you play for an hour. And so that's kind of how it started, but we developed the passion over time, and it wasn't until I actually broke my ankle in college that I couldn't move, and I'm a fairly athletic, outgoing person, and I was like, hey, what should I do with my free time? I can't play the pedal on the piano,
right?
So I'll pick up guitar, and so my older brother Ian started giving me Skype lessons, and
oh, great!
And so this is sophomore year, almost 6 years ago now. And so it started out as a hobby, and it became, I would have never guessed that I would be, starting and running a guitar company in college.
Right.
I studied electrical engineering, so very, very different.
But the analytical mind is there, and as we were discussing before we came on, making things modular, understanding components and the contributions of individual parts to the larger whole. So
exactly. Yeah.
I see the
and it was Ian who actually built the first guitar. So he was in a class where he had to come up with something innovative, and he had fixed carbon fiber bikes in the past. It was a funny story. This woman once came into the bike shop he was working at, and the back tube was just slightly cracked. It was a Colnago frame, $5,000 frame.
Yeah, absolutely, very expensive.
And they were ready to toss it. And my brother's like, hold on, let me, can I have that? And he took a few layers of carbon fiber, wrapped it.
Did the wrap.
Put on epoxy in between, put the resin on, it cured, and then he had a perfect Colnago frame. And so he took that carbon fiber passion and merged it with his guitar interest in this class and made the first one. And so for a long time people were saying, hey, this is a really cool instrument, you should do something with this. And so then I was out here skiing one winter, this is 3 years ago exactly, it was February 2015, and I had a lot of free time after skiing, and my brother was like, hey, do you want to enter this guitar into a business competition? And I'm like, hey, sure, I just finished an entrepreneurship class, I'm very qualified to do this.
Right. Years and years of, I took that class.
Yeah, exactly. But it was fun, just trying to go from an idea to just making something happen was the most motivating thing there, and no less music. And so yeah, we entered in that competition. We won enough money to build a second guitar, and yeah, step by step, it kind of just grew into what it is now.
Interesting. And here we have it. Let's talk a little bit about the construction of this guitar, because in many ways, as you see, it's not unlike a typical guitar, but there are a number of departures.
Yeah.
And maybe you could demonstrate with the parts that you've got there. I find that really seemed to be helpful in terms of understanding how you make this happen.
So this is actually our upcoming product. We haven't launched this yet, so this is not yet seen.
Wow.
This is the ukulele. And as you could tell, it's got, it's full carbon fiber. We have several layers here, so there's a thickness.
Is there variance in the thickness of the carbon fiber in different parts of the body?
Slightly, just slightly, yeah. It's a little thicker in some spots here in the bottom, but really the main sound producing part of a guitar is the soundboard. And so this will go on like this, and that fits in snug, and then we'll install the neck afterwards, and you can start envisioning what the instrument becomes. But really a couple aspects on the guitar itself that are very interesting is, so for one, we use a bolt-on neck. So 4 bolts, you can take that apart, fold it in half, put it in your suitcase. You don't even have to take the bridge pins out. You don't have to detune your guitar. Just unscrew it here, fold it, and then put it back. So that's really quick and easy.
And as long as you don't mash your strings, they're going to be okay.
Yeah, usually we throw a capo on prior to unscrewing. That keeps everything, yeah.
Sure.
The biggest really unique aspect of this guitar is that it's a hybrid wood and carbon fiber guitar. So there are other carbon fiber guitars out there, and there are obviously hundreds of wooden guitar companies out there.
Sure.
But no one has a hybrid. And the reason we went with the hybrid is because the carbon fiber guitars out there are very expensive, over $1,000. And part of the reason for having a travel guitar is that you are carefree with your instrument.
Sure.
You don't want to go to a bonfire and the whole time be fretting over, is someone going to knock it over or damage it?
Absolutely.
You take this and you're like, hey, you know what? It'll fall over, like whatever. This can hit the table. Nothing happens.
I still felt.
Sorry about the table.
I still felt that. Yeah, exactly. Well played. Well played. So the neck is wood.
Yeah.
What wood are you fabricating out of?
So this is mahogany on the back, and we actually use blackwood on the front. Blackwood on the front and a blackwood bridge. And another unique aspect of the headstock is not only is it compact, very small, but the headstock is parallel to the grain of the neck. So most guitars are like this. So you see the grain of the ukulele goes kind of at an angle.
And a lot of Gibson guitars is a specific example where, in a lot of cases, especially as guitars get a little more aged, one of the classic things that will happen to guys is they break the headstock off.
Exactly, yeah, because this creates a weak point to change the grain of the wood.
Yep.
And so we from the beginning thought, okay, wood is less durable than carbon fiber, but how can we make it more durable? So we kept the grain the same. We keep the headstock very compact. It's bolt-on, so if this ever were to snap in half, you get a new neck.
Yeah, you've got your solution there.
Exactly.
And hold it up just a little bit. Ian's got a great shot. Show the back side so folks can see the, we'll get a close-up in on the, take a look on the monitor over there so you know where we're.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you see the fiber there, the layup, the weave, and there's the 4 bolts, which really, on one hand, you have to have that to say it's a travel guitar.
Yeah.
But by the same token, the modularity of it is just, it works design-wise all the way around.
Right. And a couple innovative things that we did with the manufacturing, which you can actually see in this body, is it's called kerfing. On most wooden guitars, you'll see a line of wood in here that connects the back piece to the side pieces, and we got rid of all the kerfing. Our ukulele actually won't have bracing, which bracing is what you put on the top of the soundboard.
Right.
And the reason we do that is because the soundboard is quite cool. If you notice, there's carbon fiber here on the back and carbon fiber here on the front, but in the middle you have a layer of foam. And so what that does, it almost simulates wood. You get
increase the resonance.
You get the durability on the outside, but you also get the flexibility that allows the sound waves to resonate and come out. And so a lot of thought went into this, and then on the guitar there is bracing, and we experimented with 20 different kinds of bracings before finally choosing the right one.
But you did have to do bracing, even though in essence the top is an extensive brace, right?
Yeah. So bracing is not just for strength; it's also for resonance. You can channel the sound waves the way you want. X bracing was a big innovation back in the day, and even now Taylor Guitars came out with this innovative V bracing formation. I just saw that at the NAMM show, which we were talking about. But so, you know, the guitar is like a trampoline, the soundboard here. You want it to be big enough to resonate and bounce, but if it's not strong enough, then, you know, it'll break over time. And the string tension on here is up to 160 pounds.
Yeah.
So if you have this over years, the bridge tension will pull up, and what you'll see often is when you look kind of under the soundboard, you'll see big warpage happen on a lot of wooden guitars. And in fact, right when we were starting the company, I had a very common backpacker guitar. I won't name the brand. You know, we don't like to make fun of wooden guitars, but I left it in my dorm room over the winter, and I left for a month, and I forgot to close the window in my dorm room. And I came back, and there was a big crack from the bridge down to the end of the soundboard. And that crack only was there in the winter. In the summer, the wood expanded, and it disappeared. And so that would never happen with a carbon fiber guitar because you have that durable aspect of it.
It's a great design. It sounds really good. It's nice to have.
Yeah, Rain makes it sound amazing.
Yeah. It's a nice parallel to have him playing some tunes in the studio here tonight. How's business?
Yeah, so on the business side, we also have a couple interesting features. When we started out, we knew that we can't just be another guitar. As innovative as the product is, like you said, it's a guitar, and there are hundreds of, if not thousands of guitar companies out there in the world. So we looked at some other popular companies that were going on at the time, and we noticed a few trends. One was the e-commerce trend. And if you know, Casper mattresses, Bonobos, Eat Purple here in Utah. All these products are ones that you're used to going to the store, trying it on, feeling it out prior to buying. Sure. And especially guitar, you know, it's held to an acoustic standard, a cosmetic standard, and a functional standard. So many people want to go to the store and try it out, but we were thinking, hey, if other brands and other products can do this, how can we do this with a guitar? And I think it was pretty timely because if you look at most guitar brands online, it's hard to order the guitar on their website. You often are guided towards the nearest Guitar Center.
Yes.
And if you're international, shipping is sometimes $400, which, you know, we know shipping prices are not that high. So we kind of took this e-commerce approach, and that was kind of from the beginning the business model that we wanted to start with. Not to say that we're not counting retail in the future. But if you start e-commerce, you can always go retail after.
Easier to go in that direction than
exactly,
the opposite.
yeah, because you have all the content online, you have all the brand reputation, you have the reviews.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that we did differently. Another thing we did differently was crowdfunding. So we started out with Kickstarter. That was kind of the way we got started. True. So aside from that first business competition, we got a grant to the Princeton Summer Accelerator. That's where I finished school.
I see.
And so we were there for that first summer, and that's where we launched our first Kickstarter. And it was really an amazing experience. The support we got from our friends and family, really, that even more than the funding, motivated us to keep pursuing this product, an idea. And so yeah, we did that first Kickstarter. We sold 70 guitars. And it took us about 8 months to build those 70 guitars. You know, in our business model, we didn't even have supply chain in a slide. And and we now realize that's a very big part of any manufacturing
in the long
company.
run, it's going to be a thing. Yeah, for sure.
So we thought, you know, we can build 70 guitars in 2 months. We promised it 2 months after.
Right.
So
you
yeah,
stretched out a little bit on that.
Yeah. We learned some things along the way. For sure.
That's fantastic. Well, it's a beautiful product, and it's really cool and neat that it's homegrown here.
Yeah.
And let's do social media so folks can follow along on Instagram. I'm sure you're working hard on that, but also the website.
So our Instagram is at Klos Guitar, Klos Guitar. And Facebook is just Klos Guitars, and the website is klosguitars.com. So all pretty simple, yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good old Klosoviak, everybody.
Thank you.
Congratulations, man. It's a really beautiful product, and all in the family is a really neat thing as well. And we wish you all the best success, and we'll be looking forward to hearing more news. Come back and visit again.
Great. All right. Thanks.
Klos Guitars. Good stuff. Carbon fiber, from the bicycling industry right to my other favorite thing to do, play some guitar. We'll be back after this. More music from Mr. Morrison and our pal Amber Hansen from The Egyptian. Stay tuned.